Today on Living in the Light, Kristi answers some of life's tough questions. Stay tuned.
Kristi, some days are harder than others. What do you recommend to get through those hard moments? Thank you for letting me know.
Well, thank you for your question on those difficult days. You know, we all have them. So the first thing I want to say is don't feel guilty for it. So many times that I think when our day isn't going as well as it has before, or we think, is there something wrong with me? I want to say, first of all, just release all guilt and realize that not every day is going to be the same, and that's okay. So then how do you get through those days? I want to encourage you on those days just to be still with the Lord. Spend some time in His Word. Spend some time in prayer. If you need to be encouraged, pick up the phone and call a friend. But first, I want to recommend running to the Lord. I want to encourage you to maybe read in the Psalms, because the Psalms share often of the difficulties that David or other people went through, and so I think they can be a pretty good encouragement. I also, again, picking up the phone and calling a friend. But I also want to say to go easy on yourself that day. If you're having a difficult day, if you're struggling emotionally for whatever reason, I want to encourage you to go gently on yourself. Take a hot bubble bath or a nice long shower. Put on a favorite movie. Watch your favorite comedy. Just really take care of yourself from that perspective after you spent some time with the Lord. I cannot stress that first spend the time with the Lord and then just kind of walk out your day and realize that tomorrow is going to be a better day. Thanks for the question.
All of us have friends or loved ones that are not saved, and I pray for them. And I have even seen many decide to return to serve the Lord. But as time goes by, do we get frustrated or depressed because of this? My question is, how do we hang on to the promise that our loved ones will be saved?
That is a great question, and one that I hear often. I'm praying for my family, and the scripture says that those who believe, them and their household shall be saved. What I want to encourage you to do is not to give up, because you never know when suddenly God is going to do something. Keep praying for that loved one. Keep asking the Lord if there's any opportunities for you to share words of wisdom with them. Ask the Lord just to bring other people around your friend or family member, because sometimes if they know we're a Christian, if they know you're a Christian, then sometimes they kind of pull back from you a little bit. So sometimes I pray, Lord, send them somebody they don't know that will just start talking with them and then bring up Jesus. That reminds me of a counseling session I did years ago where the person came in and we were talking and they were really, really struggling. And I said, well, it sounds like you need Jesus. And she looked at me and she's like, you're the second person this week that has said something like that to me. She's like, I guess I better start listening. And so sometimes it takes somebody that they don't know, that they don't already have these preconceived notions and ideas about the person going, well, I know they're going to talk to me about that, so I really don't want to listen. Pray for somebody to come into their life that they don't know, that would just speak that truth to them, that may help loosen the soil, the hardness of their heart. And then I would just continue to pray for them, ask the Lord just to continue to guide and direct everything, and know that God is sovereign. And the Bible says that God will give us the desires of our heart. If you serve Him and you love Him and you cry out to Him, then He will give you the desires of your heart. And the other thing to keep in mind is that He loves your loved one even more than you do. And so He wants them to know Him also. And so have faith in that and just continue to pray. And when you get worried about it, just go, nope, You know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I can't change it. And just, again, lay it down and just continue to pray about it. But thank you for your question. What a great question. And I hope that as I'm answering these questions, that you begin in your own life go, wow, yes, I can use this for me too. These answers aren't just for the people who ask the question, but they're asking questions that I believe that many of you are asking.
I've been married for 22 years and 3 kids that are now grown, and I've been taking some classes at the university, and I have a job opportunity because of those classes, and I really want to pursue my career. And my husband thinks I'm crazy. He wants to travel, he wants to play golf, he wants to relax, but I feel like for the first time I can do what I was meant to do, or something, not to take away from my family, my life, but I just feel like I have an opportunity to explore a part of myself that I just haven't ever had the time or the opportunity to do. And I want to, but I want his support and I want our kids' support. It's just that I may not be the mom to them that I have been over all of these years. I want to explore the career side of myself and see what I can do in that area. So how do I get them on board? How do I still be a mom to them? But how can I, juggle that and have a career now too?
That is such a great question that I think is so important. There's a couple different parts of that question that I want to address. The first one is we were all created with a purpose. And I know a lot of moms who are out there who have felt like they've lost themselves. They've lost themselves as a woman, as a child of God, or as a person with purpose, and they feel like they have just been at home taking care of the child, being the wife, taking care of the house, and purpose can kind of slip away. And so that's the first thing I want to say, or to answer this question, is that we are all created with a purpose. And there are some people whose purpose is just to take care of children. They were called to be moms, they're called to be grandmothers, maybe they teach Sunday school at church. There are people who that is just their calling. But then there are other people who, yes, they've wanted to be a mom, like this lady. She wanted to be a mom, she wanted to have kids, but she feels yearning to do more. And so, yes, you were created for more. And it's okay to step out. It's okay to want a career. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's kind of where I'm going to put the but in there. You have to make sure you're being led by the Lord. And that it's not just, oh, I want to go do this now. I want to go do that. That it is a matter really of taking the time to really search what it is that you should be doing. And to not just be doing something, because that's not going to fulfill you also either. And so it's really important to know really what it is that you're working towards and why. What is motivating you to answer this question? What is important in the process of trying to figure out how to get everybody on board? Yes, it is very important for everybody to be on board. However, there's a process that you can go about doing that. And we need to take a break right now, but come right back and we will finish answering this question.
Interconnect Ministry originated from a mother's heart and is a 501c3 organization. Currently, they offer an inmate mailing program, but they are working on transitional housing, permanent housing, and transportation. If you would like to add a name to the inmate mailing list, or volunteer, or donate, contact them today.
I was so broken, and I turned on that music, and I would just raise my hands, and I was just weeping. And after 10 minutes, I began to notice that my tears began to dry up. and my weeping, I began to smile again. And then I was able to speak it out and to shout out praises to God. My friend, when you put on the garment of praise, God will take away the spirit of heaviness. Part of being on the battleground is praising God, is knowing who He is, of knowing how big and how great your God is. Our God is great and mighty and awesome.
Hello, my name is Linda Chetta, and I'm with the Women's Ministry Center in Bethalto, Illinois. I am the executive director there. We just finished the book series Broken and Transformed by Kristi Lemley, and we have had wonderful response back from that. One of our ladies even told me that she, for the first time in her life, has broken free from everything in her past.
Welcome back. I was in the process of answering the question that the lady had. How does she get her husband and her children on board to begin a new career or to step back out into a career after having children? Well, I had just mentioned that it's really important to find out what it is that you want to go out and do and why. What is motivating you? If you feel like you're being led by the Lord, then it's going to be a little easier for your husband and your kids to get on board with what you want to do. But if it's just you wanting to get out of the house because you have to do something or because you've lost your identity, then that is something else. And with that, that's where I would encourage you to kind of find out why. And based on your why is going to kind of determine on which direction I would tell you to take. I would encourage you to spend some time in reflection as to what's going on now. Is it that the kids are grown up, they don't need you as much anymore? And so it's time for you to do something. Absolutely, if that's it, then pray and find out what it is that you want to be doing or you feel like you need to be doing. The other thing I want to say, the second part of that, is how to get people on board. I would encourage you to kind of sit down, call a family meeting. You know, I say that and some people just look at me and laugh because not too many people have family meetings anymore, I guess, unless they come to my counseling office because I always encourage it. But I would sit everybody down and say, you know, I think my time of just being here, of just taking care of kids and taking care of the house is coming to an end. And I want to share with you why. Share your heart with your family. Pull them into the decision-making process. You can even ask your husband or your kids, you know, what do you think I would be good at doing? Or what do you think my strengths are? And get them involved. Ask them questions like that. Communication is so important in a family. Not just a marriage, which is critical, but also the family unit, so that they know, the whole family knows how to pull each other in, how to talk with each other, and to really share your heart. Because I bet that if your kids saw your heart and they heard your desires, I bet they would be on board. But the other thing that you have to keep in mind is then balance. How do you have a job, still be a parent, take care of the home, be a wife? How do you do it all? Well, I think that's where you need to learn to say yes to some things and no to some other things. It is really important that if you step back out into a career, then that you begin to go, okay, what is it I really need to be doing? Making sure you're setting time aside to spend with the kids, time to spend with your husband, time to be working, time to take care of the home. And you know what? Sometimes when women step back out in a career, sometimes that means the kids need to help more around the house. That's okay. It is okay that kids help more around the house because it's really important that they start gaining responsibility also. So pull everybody in, learn to kind of say what you need to do, what you don't need to do, who can help you, and then find that balance in that rhythm. But thanks for the question.
Kristi, how do parents help their kids if they have been victims of bullying? How can we help them heal from this issue?
Thank you for that question. That is such a great question. The first thing is we need to listen to kids when they say they've been bullied, because there are times that people haven't listened to them, and kids need to know, hey, there's going to be safety somewhere. Somebody is going to listen to me. So if you are a parent and your child comes home and says they've been bullied, listen. The next thing I would encourage you to do is go talk with the teacher. Find out what is going on, because kids sometimes don't tell the whole story. And so I would encourage you to talk to the teacher and find out really what is going on. Lastly, I would encourage you to build your child's self-esteem. Bullies pick on people who appear weaker sometimes. Maybe they're a new student. There's just different reasons why somebody would pick a certain person. But if a child's self-esteem is increased and they feel good about who they are and what they can accomplish, they're actually less likely to be bullied. So sometimes when I have kids come into counseling who have been bullied, I will begin to help them to see their strengths and to stand up to the bully and to not be afraid. Bullies continue because they're getting the result that they want. But if your kid begins to say, you know what, I don't want to be talked to that way, and then walks off, sometimes bullies are like, what just happened? Because somebody stood up to them. Now, I'm not saying stand up and fight and things like that. And there are times when just walking away is going to be an important thing. However, teach your child to have confidence in themselves. Not like in a prideful way, but in the way that they are a child of God. God is with them. They are not alone. And there are things that they're really good at. Maybe they're not good at sports, and there's somebody on the team that is bullying them in gym class or something because they're not very good at sports. Your child just needs to be reminded that they are good at something, maybe not sports. And this is a good time to also have the conversation with kids that they may not be able to do everything, and that's okay. So listen to your child when they're telling you that. Go talk to the teacher and find out the whole story, really everything going on, and then help increase your child's self-esteem. The thing with self-esteem is it's an action. The only way to increase it are by focusing on things that you can do and by accomplishing things. Great question. Well, we'll be right back for more questions.
Contact us today at 618-334-1806 or visit us online.
My name is Linda Chetta, and I'm with the Women's Ministry Center in Bethalto, Illinois. I am the executive director there. We just finished the book series Broken and Transformed by Kristi Lemley, and we have had wonderful response back from that. One of our ladies even told me that she, for the first time in her life, has broken free from everything in her past.
my name is Carrie. I would like to know how you parent a strong-willed child and keep balance in the rest of the family. Thank you.
That is a really good question. And Carrie, I want to thank you for sending that question because this is a struggle in lots of families. The strong-willed child has a struggle with authority and with independence. As Carrie, I'm sure you're already aware of that. But what it really boils down to is the child wants to show their independence. They want to take that control back. And so with a strong-willed child, what you need to do is learn to take stride for stride with them. If they are wanting to do something, then you take that stride with them and you let them know, I am the parent. I am in control. And you take another stride. I am the parent. I am in control. Now that doesn't mean you battle everything. I would encourage you to only pick 2 or 3 battles with your child. Because you don't want to make everything a battle because then you're going to get wore out, they're going to get wore out, and nobody is going to have any semblance of peace in the home. So really pick 2 or 3 issues that you're like, okay, these things we're drawing the line at. And then you stick with where you draw that line. If you tell your child, I'm going to take your phone if you do this again, then you take their phone and you make them earn it back. And what I mean by earn it back is you say, okay, for the next 3 days, if your behavior is good and appropriate, you can get your phone back. So you kind of go to turn to like a behavioral plan, so to speak, so that they can earn things back. Because when they are doing good behavior, you want them to know that you recognize that. You want them to say, hey, I see you doing this, and I think that's wonderful. Another thing to keep in mind with strong-willed children is keep connected with them emotionally. Don't kind of throw them out saying, you're too difficult, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Keep the connection. Talk with them. Ask them what's going on. And sometimes they'll say, well, I don't want to talk. But there are moments where they do want to talk. So if they come to you and want to talk, keep that door open. Let them come in and talk when they need it. See, here's the thing with teenagers especially. Parents are like, oh, well, you only want to talk when you want to talk. Absolutely, grab that time, parents. If you have a teenager coming to talk to you, listen to what they have to say. Drop what you're doing, not necessarily drop, but stop what you're doing maybe for a couple minutes and just listen to them. Listen to their heart, and then let them go, and then you can pick your thing back up. Sometimes parents get angry at their child for their behavior, and it's like, well, you won't listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you. And that doesn't go anywhere. That isn't healthy. And how do you keep balance in a home for a child? What I want to encourage you to keep in mind is to have regular family meetings and to let people know their responsibilities. If that child gets up and storms out, then okay, there's a consequence for that behavior. But what you have to do is you have to parent each child to their personality. You can't parent everybody the same or all your children the same. You have to parent to personality. And the other ones, when you have the family meeting, you have to say, okay, I'm going to parent differently. And that just might help you. But keep praying. Realize that there's one thing I want to say is realize that they grow out of this when they hit young 20s. They grow out of it because they're not going to be in the home most likely. And once they leave the home, things get much better because then there's not that need for independence or control because they'll be on their own. So keep praying. Always pray for them. Take them to the Lord in prayer and have hope that it will get better.
Kristi, how do I encourage someone who has a chronic medical condition?
I want to thank you for that question because there are lots of people who are suffering from chronic medical conditions, and it is so important that we realize what they go through and what you go through. The person with a chronic medical condition has a higher chance of becoming depressed, discouraged, hopeless. Sometimes they feel helpless. So the first thing I would say is for the person who's taking care of or lives with somebody with a chronic medical condition to realize where that person is, to realize that they are probably struggling. And so what I would say is maybe encourage empathy a little bit, is sometimes when you get frustrated of like, oh, this person again, they're not doing anything, or they have a bad attitude again, or whatever, to go, you know what? I wouldn't want to be in their shoes and suffering like that because what they're going through is real and it's hard for them. But for you, Kelly, who asked the question, how do you deal with it? I would encourage you, one, maybe get into a support group for people who are living with somebody with the chronic pain. I also want to encourage you to spend time with the Lord. Ask the Lord to give you patience. Ask the Lord to strengthen you to do, because if you're living with somebody with chronic pain or a medical illness that is chronic, then you're going to have to pick up the slack. So ask God for grace. Grace to do things that you don't feel like you can do. Grace to help you get through the days. Continue to pray for healing for that person. Even if you may not see it, continue to believe for it, continue to pray for it. And I just want to encourage that you become kind of partnering with the person and say, I am in this with you. I'm not going anywhere. Let's work together and not against each other. That's often what I see is in this situation, people tend to work against one another because there's frustrations on both ends. And so just love each other. Ask God to increase the love that you have for that family member or friend or whomever it is that is having that chronic pain or medical condition. Well, I want to thank you for all your questions today. I pray that it has blessed you, and I want to encourage you, keep the questions coming. You can always contact me at Kristi, which is Kristi, at livinginthelight.tv. And we're going to continue throughout the year to do shows where we answer your questions. And as you can tell, there's such a wide variety of questions that people have. And I just want to encourage you that you are not alone. Seek out help, whether it's contacting us for questions or going to talk to your pastor. I want to encourage you that you know other people have been where you are. You know, sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we feel all alone. Sometimes we feel left out. Sometimes we feel like I've tried everything and there's not one more thing I can think of. But what I want you to know is God knows right where you are. He will give you the wisdom that you need. I love in James it says, pray and ask God for wisdom, and God will give it to you. And so I want to encourage you to pray and ask for the wisdom that you need to know that you are loved. You are loved by your Heavenly Father, who loves you more than you can ever imagine. And give your family members to Him also, and your friends. Sometimes when we worry, it puts a burden on us that we were not meant to carry. Jesus says, come to me who are tired and weary, and I will give you rest. So if you have a question you didn't answer to, go to God, or you can always email me. Well, thanks for watching today's broadcast. This is Living in the Light.